Hi, this is Tatiana. As I say in the beginning of my videos, I'm not a doctor. This video series is part of my coping strategy, and my hope is that I am able to share my experiences in order to validate those of you who are in narcissistic or abusive relationships, because we often don't have someone to talk to. So I'm telling my story so that maybe you can hear something that validates your gut instinct and lets you know that yes, you are in an abusive relationship or narcissistic relationship, and it's time for you to start recognizing the games and patterns so you can make a strategy on how to get out. So this is games that narcissists play. I had to do this as my own coping strategy to clearly see the games that are being played and to remind myself that these are games and I don't need to play them. But it does help you to know that it is a game, and you can win even if you're not playing. Okay, so this one is gaslighting. I really like that we have the term gaslighting because a lot of mental abuse is so subtle. And so gaslighting is thankfully a word that we can use to validate the reality. I literally just pulled this off Wikipedia. There's a zillion different definitions, but Wikipedia just cut to the core. So it says, gaslighting is a form of mental abuse in which information is twisted or spun, selectively omitted to favor the abuser, or false information is presented with the intent of making victims doubt their own memory, perception, and sanity. So this is, again, it is a subtle game. And the way that you can, for me, when I first started realizing that there was a game was I would get to the point that, something had been done to me. And then I would get to the point where I thought, how am I feeling miserable and guilty after this? So, for example, I've shared my stories for overt, a covert, and an overt/covert narcissist relationship. 3 different relationships I've been in. So the overt narcissist used to, one time I came home early from work, and I never came home early from work. So for some reason, my gut instinct said something bad was going to be happening on the other side of this door. And so I stood at the door before opening it, thinking, do I knock and go in? This is my own fucking home. I should be able to just walk in the door. So I open the door, and the back of the couch is facing the front door, and I can see that my boyfriend is sitting on the couch with the phone in one hand and his dick in the other. And he's obviously having phone sex with someone. And I am shocked, and my brain immediately fills in the blanks. This is the guy I told you about. He was a DJ on the radio. And I had noticed, because when I would come home, he usually worked the graveyard shift on the radio station. So when I would come home and work out, I listened to his radio station. And I had noticed over the course of a few weeks that he had dedicated several songs to the same named person. It's like this, the so-and-so called in for this song. Okay. Only, like her name is something, very basic, like Maria or something like that. But I had noticed, I was like, well, that's odd. It is a common name, but in a city the size that we were in, it shouldn't have been. Anyway, my brain said Maria. My brain just instantly saw the phone, saw his dick, and thought Maria, phone sex. And even though I had not been suspicious in any way before that moment. So I said, is that fucking Maria? And he was like, and he started laughing, and he was like, shh, like I was going to embarrass him on the phone. And he was like, oh, let me call you back. And very much more concerned about how whoever was on the phone, felt. But I could see on his face that when I said Maria, he was utterly shocked. And then I can't tell you anything that was said after that other than at some point when the arguing was over, I felt like shit. Okay, so that's gaslighting. You know damn well that the abuser did something wrong and somehow you are at fault at the end of it. I had many experiences with a ex-boyfriend's daughter who would do a lot of gaslighting. She would intentionally set up scenarios where she would get caught on something, and when I got upset about it, it was, I'm the abuser and I'm taking it too far or whatever, but really and it took me a few times to realize that she was the one instigating and trying to create a conflict. Okay, that is gaslighting, where they create the conflict in order to create an argument that you're going to engage in, and then they are going to twist it around that it's your fault and you feel miserable. In my experience, gaslighting usually happens when things have just been going okay for a while. Gaslighting usually comes out of nowhere. So what's happening is that narcissist is not getting their supply met. Whatever it is that they need rejection, they need drama, whatever it is that they get from you've been a pleaser, and you are pleasing them, and so they have had too long of a time of peace and sanctity. And so out of nowhere, a scenario is created. You are usually completely caught off guard, especially because you've probably been going through a period of peace. So it slaps you on the side of the face, and then you are sitting there bawling your eyes out, not understanding what the fuck happened, feeling guilty, and the worst part of it is you feel confused. And that's usually in the beginning of an abusive relationship. That state of confusion is what the gaslighting does, is you get confused and then you start to doubt your sanity. And I think that is one of the most difficult things to deal with when exiting from an abusive relationship, is to start validating that you are not crazy. It's very difficult because by the time that we are fed up and no longer able to cope with an abusive relationship, we don't really have the mental stability anymore to tell ourselves what is real and what isn't real. So as we start to get out of that forest of confusion, the sad thing is you would think that once I get through this forest, there's going to be a nice, bright, shining light. But really, the first part of getting out of that forest is realizing, no, I'm in a very, very, very dark place. And it's going to take a while to get out of here. And I am in an abusive relationship. Now that I'm seeing clearly that this is a dangerous person, a hurtful person, and I don't have anyone around me that is safe. And that's because they've already isolated you a long time ago. So gaslighting is an important one because it's very subtle. So again, remember, when you're sitting there on the floor crying, hands on your face, and you are confused, that get used to that feeling. Recognize that feeling and tell yourself, this is the feeling of gaslighting. A lot of times you don't see it when it's happening. You didn't expect it. You didn't see it coming. That's your only indicator, is that particular feeling that you feel inside. You need to say, that is gaslighting, so that every time you feel that feeling, you replay the situation and you tell yourself, no, when I got upset, what I was upset about was valid. It was real and it was valid. And then secondly, always remember, never confront your abuser or your narcissist about it. You only talk to yourself, a trusted friend, your psychiatrist, your pastor, whoever you trust. And if you don't have someone you trust, then you write it down in a diary. And I did that, and I explained earlier in that short-term relationship that that's what I did. I wrote down all of those gaslighting games so that I could remind myself that I was in the right. You know, for example, that I had given earlier, if I'm giving away 2 beers out of 48 beers, you cannot convince me that I'm an evil person, or that I'm taking advantage of you, or that I'm trying to steal from you, blah, 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 blah. That's gaslighting. And you are not going to participate in gaslighting anymore. That means if you need to pretend that you feel like crap, or if you need to say, I'm really sorry that I confronted you about that, you can do that. You can say that in order to survive. But it's on your terms. It's no longer going to have the feeling inside of you. You can say it, and I have done that. I have been attacked randomly by someone in my family, and so outrageously attacked that my gut instinct said, you just apologize. And I'm a pretty damn proud person, so I'm not going to apologize for things that I have not done. But in this case, I don't think, even if I was sincerely apologizing, that this person was going to be hearing what I'm saying. So I'm just surviving, babe. This guy doesn't give a shit about me. So I'm going to say whatever the fuck it takes to get him to shut up and leave me alone. Because if I engage, he's only going to escalate. And you know that. If you engage, they're going to escalate. So just say what calms them down and continue to go and track the games that are being played. Validate yourself. Gaslighting is a game, okay? And if you want to talk to someone about gaslighting or what you think might be gaslighting in your life, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-SAFE, 1-800-799-SAFE, 1-800-799-7233. Okay, much love.